Thanks, Zhenghua Lu from 21st Century Business Herald. We know that 12 TPP member countries will meet in Chile tomorrow for 2 days meeting, plus China and South Korea. So I wonder if State Department have any comments on that, and as U.S. is not a part of the TPP negotiation, do you foresee that by any chance President Trump will change his mind and go back to TPP negotiation table? And do you still see TPP or integration of Asia-Pacific economic interest as a rebalancing pillar to Asia or economic tools for U.S. presence in Asia-Pacific region? Thanks.
Okay, again, a series of questions, sometimes a little bit complicated, but I'll try to answer. I think the issue of the U.S. economic engagement in Asia is the focus of your question, and I would answer that like this. This administration certainly recognizes that Asia is the most dynamic and holds the potential for a lot of future growth as a region, and that it's very essential to the future of U.S. economic prosperity. And so I think what we're looking to do is to approach our economic engagement with Asia in a way that not only promotes growth, but also promotes the interests of the United States workers, of United States citizens, and United States companies. So we're looking for a way of, you use the word rebalance, but leveling the playing field, because the feeling is that the playing field has been tilted in against the favor of some of our companies and some of our interests in the trade arrangements that have persisted up until now. And so I think that's what we'll be looking at, is how to certainly engage economically with the region, but how to make sure that the engagement is fair and balanced, as you put it.
My name is Dong Huiyu with China Review News Agency of Hong Kong. And now that President Trump has said that he will honor one China policy, could you please state here clearly, representing the Trump administration, what is the U.S. one China policy? How would President Trump talk to President Xi in their possible first meeting in Florida about the one China policy and Taiwan issue? Thank you very much.
It's hard for me to imagine how President Xi will talk to President Trump about the one China policy, but I do know what our one China policy is, and which is the policy that was reaffirmed in the phone call between the two presidents. So our one China policy, as I'm sure many of you know, is the same U.S. one China policy that we've had going back, generations and generations of different secretaries of state, all the way back to Henry Kissinger. It's based on the 3 joint Sino-U.S. communiques that were signed in 1972 and 1979 and 1982. And it's also based, importantly, on the Taiwan Relations Act, which is a U.S. law, piece of legislation, signed into law also in 1979, which provides for the United States robust, strong, and committed unofficial relations between the people in the United States and the people on Taiwan. And I think that has been stated clearly by President Trump. It's been understood clearly by President Xi, and I think that in the follow-up conversations that we've had with our interlocutors in China, there doesn't seem to be any question about that's our stated policy and going forward.
Hi, Nathan King, CGTN. I want to follow up on our Korean colleague's question, maybe phrase it a bit differently. Would you respect the sovereignty of the Republic of Korea if they decided against that in a new government?
Sure. So on the first question, would we respect the sovereignty of the South Korean polity? I mean, of course we would respect the sovereignty of South Korea, so I don't think that that's at issue. I mean, I think that's not really the question that's at issue, because this decision was made as an alliance decision. It was made in consultation and jointly between the ROK and the United States, and I anticipate that anything that would happen would be discussed, but I don't think there's any question that we respect the sovereignty of South Korea. On the issue of the
Thank you. Alicia Rose from NHK. I noticed you shied away earlier from the word rebalance, and I was wondering if you could clarify this administration's position on the pivot or rebalance to Asia. And also, do you have any updates to share on the schedule? Specifically, will there be anything in any of the stops other than the bilateral meetings?
Sorry, so the second thing was about the schedule? Okay.
If Secretary Tillerson will be making any stops other than the bilateral meetings in each of the countries?
Yeah, so just to pick up the point on the schedule, I don't have anything to announce on the details of the schedule. I'm only sort of going over the official meetings. I'm not sure, I don't think all the details on all of the other activities have been nailed down yet. So I'll leave that to our press office and the PA folks to release the details on that. On the issue of pivot, rebalance, etc., I mean, that was a word that was used to describe the Asia policy in the last administration. I think you can probably expect that this administration will have its own formulation, and it hasn't actually, you know, we haven't really seen in detail kind of what the formulation will be, or if there even will be a formulation. But what I outlined in my opening is kind of the broad strokes of what the messaging is. We're going to remain engaged and active in Asia. You know, the Asian economy is very important for U.S. prosperity and growth, and so we'll be there working on fair trade and free trade issues. We're working on regional security challenges such as North Korea, and continue to press for a rules-based and sort of constructive, peaceful, stable order in Asia. And whether there will be a kind of a bumper sticker to put on that at some point, it's still, like I said, it's early days, so I think it's early to say.